If you've spent your life being nice like I have, then this is for you. Today I'm talking about how being too nice is actually dangerous, how it kept me in unhealthy relationships and had me tolerating things that I should have walked away from way sooner. I'm sharing with you 5 ways this people-pleasing behavior of always being nice stole my peace and happiness, and how I got it back with one simple shift, a shift that I now share with all of my clients. So how do you know if you're being too nice? One of the messages I remember most from when I was a kid was, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. So I was taught to be nice. I was taught to be a good girl. And somewhere along the way, I equated being honest and speaking up for myself as mean. So I thought that not being nice automatically meant that I would hurt or disappoint someone. And the fear of disappointing someone became my biggest people-pleasing hurdle to overcome. Are you afraid of disappointing someone? Maybe even the person that does your hair. I've had clients tell me that they get a color or a cut that they actually hate, but they don't say a word. In fact, they agree that they like it and they just have to live with it. Or maybe it's the person that serves your food. You don't want to point out that something's wrong and send it back, so you just don't say anything. Do you avoid conflict because you don't want to seem difficult or not likable? When we become the type E woman, being everything to everybody, there ends up being nothing left for ourselves. Did you get that? You don't get to be everything for everybody else without being nothing to yourself. Ouch, right? So that's danger number 1 of being too nice. There's a price for always being nice. We suppress our emotions and don't speak up to keep other people comfortable, and that just results in us having resentment and frustration and maybe bitterness and anger, and for sure, stress. When we fear disappointing someone or judgment or rejection, then not speaking up, we just end up losing our voice and not actually knowing how to speak up because we haven't done it. We haven't practiced it. And when we say yes, when we really want to say no, this just chips away at our integrity and we become not honest with ourselves. For sure, we're not being honest with the other person, but it takes away from our own integrity. And we end up trading our inner peace for outer peace just to keep other people comfortable. And have you ever noticed that certain people love your niceness, maybe even take advantage of your niceness? That is danger number 2 of always being nice. Nice people are easy to control and manipulate. A toxic person can sense, they can sniff out niceness from miles away, and they will take this opportunity to push your boundaries and take advantage of you. When we're nice and we don't want to disappoint someone, we will allow bad behavior. We will tolerate bad behavior way beyond what a boundaried person would tolerate. But this fear of confrontation or disappointing them or hurting them keeps us stuck in these relationships that do not serve us. And this danger goes beyond being manipulated and controlled. It can go into impacting your health. I was hospitalized not once, not twice, but 4 times in 7 months to have surgery on something that my body had manifested, I now believe, in a reaction to this toxic person in my life. And had I just taken care of the toxic relationship, I believe that this thing that manifested in me would have not even occurred. But my body, our bodies know, and my body was speaking to me, telling me that something was wrong, that something was not right, and that I needed to pay attention. But once I took care of the relationship, it completely resolved on its own. Danger number 3 is that nice people, we end up living with a lot of guilt. These people, these manipulators, they thrive on guilt, your guilt, and they know how to use that against you. This person, my ex-husband, would imply that I was doing things that were selfish. And when I would question him on it, he would turn it around and make it sound like I was accusing him of accusing me of something, and he would just get it all jumbled up. But it did make me doubt myself and feel guilty for what he was calling being selfish. So that is danger number 3, is that nice people end up living with a lot of guilt. We have this underlying current of guilt in our life. And if we say no or speak up for ourselves or prioritize ourselves, we feel bad because we've equated this guilt with wrongdoing, with us doing something wrong. So we do what we can to avoid the guilt. And what that ends up meaning is that we just try to be nicer. If I'm just nicer, the guilt will go away. And so the more you try to avoid feeling guilty, the more you tolerate, the more you give, and the more you stretch yourself thin. And you become the ultimate peacekeeper to avoid that feeling of guilt. But true guilt comes from doing something wrong. People-pleasing guilt comes from the fear of disappointing someone. And they're not the same, right? Danger number 4 of always being so nice is that we live in a state of avoidance. We avoid conflict, rejection, disapproval, disappointment. We avoid a lot of things in order to have this sense that the other person is comfortable and thinking that it will give us the sense of peace inside. And so we avoid anything that causes discomfort. But avoiding this discomfort doesn't make it go away. It just builds up inside, usually until it explodes like a pressure cooker. And the real problem isn't the things that you're avoiding, the rejection, the conflict, the anger, the disapproval. The real problem is the amount of contorting and morphing that you do of yourself in order to avoid feeling any of that. That is the real problem. And the freedom, the peace inside, the happiness that you're seeking is actually on the other side of the things that you're afraid to face, the things that you're avoiding. So here's danger number 5 of always being nice. This is the shift, the big shift that I got and that I teach all of my clients because it makes all of the difference. This is a lie that we were told. This is a lie that we've been believing, that nice and kind are the same thing. The danger is believing that they're the same. They are not the same. You will probably get completely opposite results using one versus the other. And people pleasers get this confused because we were taught to be nice, but we think it's a potato kind of thing, and it's not. They're completely opposite of each other. So what are the differences? Being nice is not making waves, not rocking the boat, no matter what you have to do. Being kind is telling your truth, no matter what. Big difference, right? Being nice means doing whatever to not disappoint someone, to not hurt their feelings, to not upset them. And in order to do that, we hide our own true feelings. And we pretend that everything is fine, even when it's not. It's fine, right? How many times have you been hurt, but responded when someone asked you and said, it's fine, when deep down you were crying inside? That is being nice. That is not being kind. Being nice is about being liked, being approved of, and it avoids discomfort. It is the easy button. Being kind is being honest. It prioritizes the truth. And when we're kind, we do what's right, even when it's hard. And I get it. It's hard to speak up when you haven't spoken up, when you didn't learn to speak up. In fact, when you learned to not speak up, to stay quiet, because that was the safe thing to do. That was the nice thing to do. That was the way to be good and to get approval. We were trained to be nice. We weren't trained to be kind. We weren't trained to speak up, speak our truth, and be honest about how we feel. But what happens is when we're nice, we're striving for outer harmony. We're striving for the outer peace. We become the peacekeepers. And we avoid conflict, which means that we have to suppress our feelings. When we're kind, we prioritize speaking our truth, and we have a commitment to honesty, because the goal is to have inner peace. And we can't have inner peace when we're being untruthful, when we're not speaking how we feel. And flip the script. What if someone was always being nice to you and not telling you how they really felt? You can gauge that, right? You can feel that dissonance, that uncomfortableness, because you know that they're hiding something. So it doesn't feel good, and it certainly doesn't feel peaceful, right? It doesn't feel harmonious. So speaking our truth, even when it's so hard, is so important in order to diminish our stress and to increase our inner peace and happiness. Those are the 5 dangers of always being nice. And I have a question to ask you that is a doozy. Are you being kind, or are you being nice to yourself? Are you telling yourself the truth about what is the reality in your life? Your weight, your job, your relationships, your finances. Are you staying in integrity with the things that you promise yourself? Are you showing up fully for yourself, or are you letting yourself off the hook in order to not rock the boat with yourself and feel more comfortable with yourself and avoid the things that are actually happening in your life? Being nice instead of being kind and telling yourself the truth. Are you letting yourself off the hook in order to be more comfortable in the moment? Saying maybe, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll address it tomorrow, and then not addressing it tomorrow. Doing things to numb yourself in order to avoid looking at the reality that is your life. Numbing yourself with drinking too much, eating too much, binge watching Netflix, or doom scrolling on social media. So this is the ultimate question to ask yourself. Am I being nice, letting myself off the hook so I don't even rock the boat with me? Or am I being kind, admitting the truth to myself, even though it might be really hard to hear? I know it's hard, but we have to pick our hard. I went through this, and I went through it multiple times, recognizing that I wasn't telling myself the truth about the reality of my life. I went through 3 marriages not telling myself the truth. I spent 17 years in a marriage after he had an affair early in the marriage, and lost my chance to have my own family because I wasn't telling myself the truth. So, are you being kind to yourself, or are you just being nice to yourself? I realized that I had the choice to start speaking up for myself, even if people wouldn't like it, or to continue living in unhealthy, tumultuous relationships that I had created. But it was my choice to make. Did this shift something for you? Are you being kind, or are you being nice? If you're being nice and you're done with that, you can schedule a free clarity call with me, and we'll talk about how you can turn this around. If you're tired of always doing for everyone else, smiling on the outside when you're actually crying on the inside, or feeling like others are in charge of your life and you're ready to shed the nice girl syndrome, then watch this video next. I'm sharing with you 5 ways this people-pleasing behavior, conflict, rejection, anger, disapproval. I'm sharing with you 5 ways this people-pleasing